if you support war in any capacity whatsoever, if you support what Israel is doing in Palestine, if you support what Ukraine and Russia are doing right now to each other, as far as I'm concerned, go sign up.
Go
fight it.
People are very quick to send other people's children to war.
Yeah, if you're willing to send other people to die, that's where the argument gets lost, and then it just becomes this. Well, if we don't stop them here, they're
because your principles don't mean shit if you're not willing to put something on the line for it. So there are things that I am absolutely willing to die for. I'll tell you something. There's a lot of things that I'm willing to fight and die for. Okay. And then if that's the case, then I will advocate for doing so. I'm not a pacifist. I don't think that everybody should just take everything and turn the other cheek. I don't agree with that. But I also know that our narrative in this country is purposely false. I don't know what news sources the majority of people on here watch, but I do know that if you watch mainstream media, you're reading stenography from the State Department. I don't trust a word of it. So we probably have very different news sources. I completely reject the idea that we put out misinformation. I do so much research. I spend about 3 to 4 hours a day doing research.
And she's a lawyer.
Okay. I don't get paid for this. I don't make any money doing this. I research into stuff. I find experts. I find authors. I have more than 3 years of content on this channel, bringing in some of the smartest, most academic people on certain issues. So do we get things wrong? Absolutely. But to suggest that this is all misinformation is just such straw man bullshit. And it is so not helpful to anything that we're trying to do. Why does everybody want to pick a fight about everything?
And Matt, if anybody invaded our country,
then I
would be on the front line.
Jesus, you're not getting the point.
That's the difference, man. That's the difference. Again, we're talking about useless military
he keeps on you using a neocon argument. I don't get that to any extent.
Well, first of all, a neocon is somebody who believes that you can never have enough war.
Right.
That basically just go and bomb the hell out of everybody, which is perfectly fine.
Generally.
Again, you don't like my music? Again, this is where we disagree. You and I have a different philosophy regarding how the war in Ukraine started, why it started, and why it's not ending and should have ended a long time ago. And we're never going to get to a consensus here. I am not here to tell you that the Ukrainian people don't have a right to defend themselves. They do, but they can't win this fight. It's not possible. The only way that this can get worse is if it becomes World War III, and it still could become that, just like what's happening in Gaza right now could turn into World War III.
They're not going to win.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Can't do it.
And if you want, really, we've covered this topic. We've had military people on this show. We've had experts on this show. Please feel free. I also do recommend Medea's book.
Here's what we've said, and we will say this again. This only ends when the U.S. and NATO decide that their encroachment is going to end. That is it. And if that doesn't do it, then you have your argument that Putin is just a completely reckless psychopath, which he may very well be.
Now I want these people to. You know what? That's a straw man thing. When you, it's called. You know what it shows me when people call names. When you label and call names, you're a Putin puppet, you're this. It's you have no concept of history and nuance. And which is why I don't like having these discussions.
Russia has had plenty of accountability.
It's totally their accountability. But they've won. It's done.
But you blew up Nord Stream 2, so that's gone. You have isolated them from most of the rest of the world. You've done that too. They are suffering in many ways. And again, this isn't a defense of Vladimir Putin. Again, it's like the whole thing when, we all want to talk about, is our elected representatives a reflection of who we are as people in this country? Well, I can tell you guys that our congresswoman is Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she sure as shit don't reflect me and Jen.
No.
And you could say the same for the majority of people who are elected officials. They don't represent who the people are. Just like Vladimir Zelensky doesn't represent the Ukrainian people and Vladimir Putin doesn't represent the Russian people.
Can we screen our chat? Like, here's the thing. If you get your news from Fox, MSNBC, or CNN, please don't post in our chat. Seriously, it's just going to be stupid.
Colin,
Colin,
can you give me what I asked for, please? With
You're talking harshly.
with Netanyahu and what he said about Hamas. Okay, so there you go. Anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. This is part of our strategy to isolate the Palestinians in Gaza from the Palestinians in the West Bank. it is what it is, guys. I just wish more and more people would understand.
Well, what's so interesting, and people want to talk about misinformation, especially like the Zionists, but yet none of them bother to do any research, because the truth is they want to be willfully ignorant. They don't want to know the truth. They want to just call you names and straw man. But the reality is the information that is now available, it's very black and white. It's very clear.
So, but you know what Putin and Russia's terms are. They've made it very clear.
And by the way, a whole ton of people in Eastern Ukraine want that too.
Correct.
This is very nuanced. Again, what I would like is if you are someone who gets your news from CNN, MSNBC, or Fox, okay, I promise you're not getting accurate news, okay? And the talking points, which are very clear, they're just not, it's just not accurate. And you do not know history and you do not know nuance.
Jamie, I don't agree with you. I think that it's true for some.
Not here. We have like a 14% voter turnout. Most people can't vote because most people can't take time off of work to go.
I don't know how many people here are from the States or from other parts of the country, or other parts of the world, I should say. I'm sorry. But remember, this is very important. You have to remember that we have extremely low voter turnout. Our districts are heavily gerrymandered. It is a money game if there ever was one in this country. And so for people to get involved and to have a voice, it's very difficult. We ran a grassroots campaign against Debbie Wasserman Schultz in 2020. And that was a campaign coupled with the fact that we had the pandemic that made it more difficult.
Stop comparing Ukraine to Palestine. They are completely not related. We need to wrap, because this is not what I want to be doing right now. It just isn't. Please, neolibs, please kindly go back to from whence you came. We're clearly dealing with different news sources. You clearly want to call names and straw man, and I really don't want to do this. Not to mention I have to go pick up carpool soon. So I really just don't.
Anyway, as I was saying, we live in a country, and thank you, Pigeon. We appreciate that, and we're glad to have you here.
Liked it.
You know, no, I'm sure a lot of people did. I am sure. Listen, for everybody that is here, you know, that is true. And Kitty, we respect your opinion, and we respect everybody's opinion. Now, if you want to troll us, that's
then provide me better information. I agree. The gray zone is a good source. I know that the information I get is from people actually on the ground doing the work. So if you're not getting it from somebody directly on the ground doing the work, or is having the actual experience in which you are wanting information about, then you're not getting it firsthand. So like, I don't know, but if somebody wants to present me with other factual information that discredits things, then fine.
And here's a point.
But talking points and straw man.
And here's a point, Notoriety. Whether you like WikiLeaks or not, and this is the same argument about, well, you know, they're cherry picking this information. The only thing that matters is the information true or false? That's it. It's like the argument about Julian Assange.
Then why hasn't there been any libel charges?
There you go. Why is Julian Assange literally sitting in prison as a prisoner for doing nothing but journalism?
If it wasn't true.
You don't have to like it. You can frankly hate his guts, and that's perfectly fine. But you know what? He didn't break any laws. He did his job. We found that information that, as Americans, we felt was necessary to learn about. If you don't believe that we have a right to know that our government is committing torture, if you don't think that we have a right to know that our political system, in terms of the electoral process, particularly in the primary process in the Democratic Party, is completely rigged, and you're seeing it now firsthand, then what is the point? Why would anyone? Oh, well, you know, he messed with the election, or he did this. Again,
oh my God.
We live in a country. We live in a world where information, honest information, is everything, even if it goes against the people that you support or people that you like. And I've seen that happen many times before. But
the reason that Ukraine and Palestine are completely different, okay, is Russia does not have a concentration camp border wall around the perimeter of Ukraine and control their power, their resources, their water, what comes in, what comes out. They don't have that. It's actually two different sovereign nations. Palestine is not a sovereign nation. Hamas is not a sovereign nation. The disproportionate power is so ridiculous. And they're literally shooting fish in a barrel.
Notoriety. And you can believe that, and that's fine. And you can keep saying it, and that is perfectly fine. And he could be the most biased journalist walking the earth. And you know what isn't going to change? The fact that the information he provided is the truth. And that's it.
I can't anymore.
And that's all that
I
matters.
cannot deal with the neo-lib talking points anymore.
So-
I just cannot.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.